Welcome back, everybody, to the Gridiron Across the U.S. podcast. We are back. It's been a little inconsistent recently, but we'll try to get better as we get closer to the NFL draft. Speaking of the NFL draft, with not much with not much occurring that we should go over in today's episode is singularly going to be a little mock draft where I'm going to control the AFC teams and Dom's going to control the NFC teams, and we're going to, work side by side and see what we come up with so that it's a two-person collaboration and not just one person, making sure their guy falls to their team. I think I'm a little guilty.
You would do.
Yeah. Okay. To be fair, the past 2 years, Joey Porter Jr. fell way farther than he should have been, and George Pickens fell way farther than he should have been. So, that's my justification. That's my justification.
All right. Yeah. So, like he said, NFL news. We're getting a little love. Biggest thing that happened this past probably week and a half is amazing. Joe Milton traded to the Cowboys. Who cares? Joe Milton to the Cowboys. Whoopee. Ready to get into our mock draft?
Yeah. Quick little insight on the Joe Milton trade there, but we'll hop right in to the mock draft. And the Tennessee Titans are on the clock. Since I'm controlling the AFC teams, I will make their pick. And, this is the easiest pick of the draft. It's Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami. Not much to say. I think the Titans mutually agreeing to cancel their private workout with Shedeur Sanders all but locks in Cam Ward as the first overall pick. I originally thought they were going to trade down from here because I think their team is too terrible to draft a guy this year. They should build around him and get someone next year. But looks like they're set on Cam Ward. So, that seems to be the pick. What do you think?
I think it's been obvious ever since they didn't go after any QBs in free agency. You got Will Levis there. He's like 26. He's not been playing good. Cam Ward behind that Titans O-line. We'll see how his little nonchalant thing from college turns over to the NFL. But, yeah, pretty obvious pick right there.
All right, and on the clock is me again at number 2 with the Cleveland Browns. I'm taking Abdul Carter, edge rusher from Penn State. I think this is also another I wouldn't say pretty obvious because I think it's between Shedeur and Abdul Carter, but I think, they want to make Myles Garrett happy. Yeah. He clearly re-signed, so, to put this guy who's a freak of nature next to Myles Garrett on the other side, it's going to be a rough go for opposing teams. I think the Browns are going to end up with one of the better D lines in the league if they take Abdul Carter here, and I think it's the right pick, which means I don't want to see it happen on draft night. I really want to see the Browns reach on Shedeur Sanders. That would be
great.
That'd be awesome. That's my dream as a Steelers fan.
Yep. Moving on there, you pretty much gave an explanation there. I'm on my clock at the first pick. New York Giants. No Shedeur Sanders here. We already seen they brought in 2 QBs. They're not going to take a quarterback. Instead, they're going to take two-way player Travis Hunter. I think he'll play corner at the next level, but he can get in there as a slot receiver, make some plays, but primarily a corner. He won some defensive awards in college for corner, so he'll make good plays for you. Don't know how he'll do it, his whole two-way thing, but I think that's the right pick for the Giants.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I think Travis Hunter, with I think we've talked about this before, but with Jameis Winston on the field, if he plays receiver, he'll be able to tackle the guy with the pick. But next up is the Patriots, another one of my teams as I begin a little run I get to go on here. Oh, boy. I have them taking Will Campbell, offensive tackle at LSU. I think there's been reports about him having short arms. That's not a worry. The same thing came out about Aiden Hutchinson, like a week before the draft, and then he fell to 2 to the Lions. He turned out just fine. I'm not worried about Will Campbell. He's a dog, one of the best players in this draft, and I think it's the same thing as Joe Alt last year. We see how he turned out, absolute stud. And looking at the Patriots, you got to build that O-line if you want Drake May to succeed. They go out and they sign Stephon Diggs, so I think Ted McMillan's a little bit out of the equation here. Maybe a trade back, but I think they stick and pick Will Campbell, the best tackle in the draft, in my opinion. Number 5, another AFC team. The Jaguars are on the clock. Like I previously mentioned in the last episode where we did mock draft, I think this is Mason Graham. Another lock, essentially, because they've addressed everything except that interior defensive line, I would say. And, he's the best interior defensive lineman in the class. You got to go with him. I'll give you a second to give your opinion on those 2 picks.
Get your voice a little break there. Yeah, I like these 2 picks. Mason Graham is the obvious pick for Jacksonville here. After Will Campbell goes, which the whole arm thing, I don't see a point with that. He's going to be just fine. Incredible tackle at LSU. He's a leader. He knows the game. He loves the game. Like you said, he's pretty much Joel 2.0, except a little bit shorter by 2 inches. But yeah, great tackles there. They both have Hall of Fame potential, if we're being honest there. I feel like Joel just seems like the guy that's a lock for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Three-letter last name, and he gets drafted in a wood cabin up in
Minnesota,
Michigan or Minnesota, wherever he's from. Absolutely legendary stuff from the guy.
Yeah, then I like that Mason Graham pick, so we'll keep it moving here. You got a couple more picks up here.
So we got 2 more again with the Raiders and the Jets. Looks like the AFC was pretty bad this year. The Raiders are up, and this is an interesting pick. It looks like it's going to be Ashton Genty. They don't have a running back. If I was a GM of the Raiders, I don't think I would take him here because while he's by far the best player in the class, you know what we should do here? We should do a trade.
Oh, yeah.
As a Saints fan, you want to jump the Jets for Shedeur Sanders?
No, you are not making that trade.
Okay, never mind. I'm just going to go ahead and take Ashton Genty for the Raiders there. They love their offensive skill position players early on with Michael Mayer, Brock Bowers, and now Genty. And, we'll see how it turns out. I mean, I think this class is deep in running backs, so taking one top 6 when you have so many other holes seems a little bizarre, but it seems like the consensus in the reporter community right now is that Genty will go to the Raiders at 6 there. At 7, the New York Jets. I'm so torn on this because on paper they should never take Shedeur Sanders. They just signed Justin Fields to a 2-year, $40 million deal. But the report that came out about Woody Johnson's grandson making the calls based on Madden ratings makes me want to believe it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. So I won't be shocked if draft night comes and it is Shedeur, but I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go Tyler Warren out of Penn State. He's an absolute stud of a tight end. Maybe a little early for a tight end, but when you look at the Jets, not much production out of the tight end position. Tyler Conklin kind of washed. And if you really are trying to build around Justin Fields, which I think they should, you got him one of the best playmakers in the class. He goes before any receiver. Well, that's if you project Hunter as a corner. But he goes ahead of any of the main receivers, and I think reasonably so. I mean, he's a stud, and we saw it down the line with Penn State. He can block, he can catch. I think that's a good pick for the Jets, and I like to see, maybe it's a little bit of reach, but we'll mix it up here. I'd like to see him in that offense.
Yeah, good way to mix it up there. My mock draft decided to crash, so I got to catch up on picks real quick here. So I want to talk about Tyler Warren a little more.
Yeah, so we'll go into a deep dive on Tyler Warren. No. We'll look at the board left and kind of, just to give you guys a little refresher of who's available. Top guys are Shedeur Sanders, quarterback from Colorado. Armand Membu, offensive tackle from Mizzou. Oh, that's pretty good. Membu from Mizzou.
Oh, yeah, I'm back now. I can.
All right, we're back.
All right.
I mean, I just came up with the GOAT nickname while we were in their little intermission there, but we'll turn it back into the to the mock draft.
Yeah, a little bit of a delay there, but Panthers are on the clock. I got a big stretch of NFC teams coming up here. You want to get help for Bryce Young. Obviously, receiver help. Ted McMillan's still there, but I feel like they got to work on that defense, especially at the corner position. You got J.C. Horn and you got no one else. And Will Johnson's a really good talent from Michigan, so I think they're going to take him here. Just pair him up with J.C. Horn. That's a really good duo in the secondary right there. Lock down other receivers. And this receiver class has a lot of talent going into the later rounds, so they can definitely get Bryce Young a player there. Moving on to my team. The Saints are going to take – no, we are not taking Shedeur Sanders. I'm thinking Ted McMillan here. Derek Carr's not a good quarterback, but you look at the receiver room. You got Olave. He gets injured all the time. You got Shaheed. He's just fast, catches deep balls. No one else. There's literally no one else good on there. So Ted McMillan is going to be the right pick here for the Saints. Get a playmaker who knows the game, really smart player. He's fast, he's quick, he's big. I think he ran a really good 40 time, and he's a pretty tall guy, so that really will help the Saints out on offense there. Moving along, Chicago. They needed a running back. They still do need a running back. DeAndre Swift didn't have much good production last year. Now that Ashton Genty's off the board, I feel like even with all their moves in free agency to try and bolster that O-line to protect Caleb Williams, they are going to take Membu from Mizzou, as you said, to really solidify those edges. Then you got an insane interior. You got Drew Dalman, Joe Tooney. Who's their other tackle? Is it?
They've got Braxton Jones, I think, on the other side. I'll look it up. I know Braxton Jones is on one side. I'm not too familiar with the Bears. I know they bolster that interior. Yeah, Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright, who's a top 10 pick. So I don't know about the tackle.
Yeah, but I kind of like that pick there. I feel like they're just trying to protect Caleb because he was pressured so much last season. Most sacked QB in the league. Maybe not the best pick, but this pick I feel pretty confident about if he's available. 49ers are on the clock now, and they 100% need offensive line. Trent Williams is on the verge of retirement. He wasn't even that good last season, and the rest of that line is terrible. You get a guy like Kelvin Banks who can play guard and tackle, switch around, really agile, really athletic player, can block well, can protect Brock Purdy, your soon-to-be really high-paid quarterback. I think there's no doubt with that pick. What do you think of that?
Yeah, you want me to go over all the picks you made so far, or just that one?
Let me finish Dallas real quick here. Then you
Okay.
just finish my little strand of NFC. All the AFC teams were bad, and all the NFC was mid. Looking at Dallas here, there's a lot of good edge rushers on the board here. Micah Parsons, they lost DeMarcus Lawrence in free agency this season, so I think they're going to take either Jelon Walker, Shamar Stewart, or Mikael Williams. I think the one here, Shamar Stewart, had an amazing combine. He looks really good, really fast, really strong, and he's from Texas. Jerry Jones likes his natives. I'm taking Shamar Stewart there.
All right, so going back on your picks a little bit here. Will Johnson's interesting because J.C. Horn's their one good defensive player and he plays corner, but I like it, match up two corners on the outside so that he can go against teams like the Bucs with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans in the division. I think it just comes down to best player available, and I think that player is Will Johnson, so I do like that pick. Next up was the Saints taking Tevin McMillan. Once again, a good pick. Probably the safest receiver in this class. I think he's just that guy who, he might never put up best receiver in the league numbers, that kind of potential, but he'll be like a Mike Evans guy. He'll get you 1,000 yards year in, year out. And I like that pick for the Saints. I think they need some stability at the receiver position with all the injuries they've been facing on their offense. Number 10, who's number 10? The Bears taking Membu. Like I said, I don't know how I feel about that pick because that O-line room's getting pretty crowded with the signings and trades they've made already, trading for Jonah Jackson and Joe Tooney and signing Drew Dalman. Then you already have Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones. I could see it happening, though, with Ben Johnson. He's all in on this run-the-ball agenda, pound the rock, building up that O-line like he did in Detroit. So it could happen. 11, 49ers taking Kelvin Banks. I think that's a lock if he's the best O-lineman there. I think they're just going to go best O-lineman. Not too much to sugarcoat that. Letting a guy like Aaron Banks leave to Green Bay, they just have no O-line, and they're in cap purgatory. Whew. They kind of get themselves out of that situation with Kelvin Banks, and Shamar Stewart is a very Cowboys pick, so I rock with it. On to the Miami Dolphins. Now, here's where this is an interesting team. Like, you let Javon Holland walk, so now you have a glaring hole at safety, but there's not too many. A safety at 13?
Too high.
I don't know how I feel about it. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have the Arizona Cardinals jump up 3 spots with Miami. Let's get this done real quick. The picks don't actually matter because this is a round 1 mock draft. We'll get that done. So Arizona is jumping the Colts for the number 1 edge rusher on the board, Jalen Walker. I think he tested phenomenally. And, that's an NFC team. All right, I get to make that one pick. You can make Miami's pick when they're up. I think they jumped the Colts who also need an edge rusher for a guy like Jalen Walker because the Cardinals need help on defense. They don't have many playmakers on that defense. The Colts at 14. The Colts have been known for making like weird picks, like based on athleticism. So I'm gonna give them. I'm between Nick Amanwari or Jihad Campbell. I think Jihad Campbell is the better overall player.
Where are these guys? I found him. They were hiding on the mock list.
So I'm gonna give the Colts Jahad Campbell here at 14.
All right, Atlanta is on the clock. Atlanta has one of the softest D lines in the league. Couldn't get any pressure on the Saints offensive line. What are we doing? So it is time to get an edge rusher. Best one available on the board is Mikael Williams, so that's who they're going to take. No need to put it lightly. They need an edge rusher so bad. Their pressure has been terrible. They lost Grady Jarrett, so now you got Matt Judon. Didn't Matt Judon get released, or no? He's still
I think
there.
he got released.
The Legion
I'm
of
pretty sure he got
Fire.
released.
My favorite Legion ever. Better than the Legion of Boom. And like you said,
The Legion of Fire.
Legion of Fire. Like you said, I'm going to do the Miami pick here since you kind of took my Cardinals, but who really cares about the Cardinals? But I think time has gone by. It's time to take a safety. Like you said, back then it was too early. So they trade back hoping no one takes Malachi Starks. And now that he's available, they're going to pounce on him, get their safety in the future with Javon Holland leaving.
Yeah, I like that pick. I think Malachi Starks was my lock for the Dolphins, and I also like Mikael Williams to the Atlanta Falcons. Georgia player, you keep him home, and you know he teams up on the Falcons. The Bengals next. Now,
Joe Burrow.
This has to be defense. The Bengals, there's no shot the Bengals go offense, and they just keep putting up 45 points every week and losing.
Bengals move.
I guess their number one need is an edge rusher and D lineman. I'm going to go with Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. I think the reason he's fallen a little bit on the rankings is, due to some lack of effort, but we all know those are ridiculous. Like, none of those ever come to fruition. It's just so that the Eagles can snag him late. But I think Walter Nolan, I don't want to compare him to Aaron Donald, but he's got shades of Aaron Donald to his game. I'm not saying that's who he's going to become, but he's like a Timu version of Aaron Donald. And I think the Bengals could really use a guy in their interior like him. They lost DJ Reader last year to the Lions, and they really haven't been able to recover in the pass rush game and the run game. You also might be losing Trey Hendrickson to a trade since they don't want to pay him after they put 50% of their cap space into 3 players. Bold strategy. But I think this is the right pick for the Bengals.
Yeah, great pick there. They're going to have their offensive fireworks, but just got to get some defense to pair along with that. Next up is Seattle, and what they need is a pass catcher. What I'm looking at here is Colston Loveland and Matthew Golden. Their tight end production hasn't been very good. They have Noah Fant hasn't lived up to his expectations at all. He had pretty high expectations coming into the league. Now in his third year at Seattle, hasn't really done much. And then they got JSN there. I think they can pair another receiver later in the draft with JSN. I don't think that besides these top 3 tight ends, Loveland, Warren, and Fannin, there's not much else there. So I think they're going to take their shot here. They're going to take Colston Loveland at, what pick is that? Pick 18. Next up, Tampa Bay. I don't like Tampa Bay, so I'm going to give them Shedeur. Kidding there again. But
What
Tampa
a
Bay,
pick.
what a pick there. They retained Chris Godwin. They still got Mike Evans, really consistent there. I feel like they're going to go on the D-line here, really bolster that up because, like the Falcons, they have a little bit better a D-line than the Falcons, but it's not really that good. Your best pass rushers like Yaya Diaby or something. So Mike Green and Kenneth Grant, you can either go interior or outside. I think they're going to go interior here, pair them up with Vita Vea. Just have a really good run-stopping force there that can also generate pressure.
You said Kenneth Grant?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that pick. I think Kenneth Grant, a bigger defensive tackle in comparison to Walter Nolan. Walter Nolan projects more as a pass rusher. Kenneth Grant more of a run stopper. I like this pick for the Bucs. I think he's going to be nice along Vita Vea. And the pick before that, you had Colston Loveland go to the Seattle Seahawks. Also a big fan of that pick. I think that's the most likely scenario.
Yeah.
Now, pick 20. Next pick after this is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Get ready.
There's a certain player still on the board. His name rhymes with Landers. Ladeur Landers, right?
Landers.
Out of left field, in any attempt to be relevant to their owners, the Cleveland Browns come and they trade up with Denver to come steal Shedeur from the Steelers. I think if he's here, the Browns are going to give up anything to trade up and take him from the Steelers. So I have the Browns trading up. I also think this makes sense from Denver's perspective because their number one need right now is a running back. And, you're not going to take Omarion Hampton at 20. And so you trade back. You got the first pick in the second round. For some reason, it's not letting me make it, so we'll just imagine this is the Browns here. So that the Denver Broncos are still in a good position to get their franchise running back for Sean Payton, and they get draft capital from the Browns, who would most likely overpay in this trade because they need to steal Shedeur from the Steelers. So we've got Shedeur to Cleveland at 20. Now, as a Steelers fan, I'm trying not to be biased here. I can't lie, I'd be pretty upset if this happened because, a guy like Shedeur falling all the way to 20. Do I think he's a franchise QB? Maybe not, but you have to take him if he's there at 21. So I think the Browns do come out of left field and steal him from the Steelers. He'll be a bust on the Browns. It's okay. Now the Steelers are back.
Yeah, Hall of Famer on the Steelers, though.
Yeah, of course. I mean, come on, is that even a debate? Now the Steelers are on the clock, and I think they were going to take Shedeur if he was there. But I think this is a trade down spot. Once again, I'm trying to get some trades thrown into here. I think the Steelers, Jahdae Barron, best corner second best corner behind Will Johnson and maybe Travis Hunter, depending where you project them, on the board. I think a team like the Rams could look to jump Chargers and Green Bay, all corner needing teams, and they've been aggressive on the trade market in the past. So I'm gonna have LA jump up here real quick. Let me get this through. Third. And, Steelers, they traded their second round pick for DK Metcalf. They need some more draft capital, later on. So I think they're happy with this trade both ways because, maybe the Steelers take Jahdae Barron, but there's other players down the board.
The Rams take Barron?
Yeah, the Rams are going to take Jahdae Barron. I would let you make the Steelers pick, but I want to make the Steelers pick because it's my team. So you can do the Chargers right here.
Do I really want to do the Chargers pick here? Yeah, I'll do the Chargers here. I think you got to go receiver here if you're Chargers. You got Ladd McConkey. No one else outside of that. Mr. Hypotheticals, Mr. What If Man, Justin Herbert needs a second receiver. And you got a really fast player on the board. Matthew Golden can really stretch the field. Burn the corners. I think they're going to take Golden here. Then that leaves it to my pick again. We got Green Bay hosting the draft. Green Bay, they got Rashawn Gary on the D-line. I'm looking D-line here. You got Mike Green and James Pierce, two really good D-linemen who kind of fell a little bit. Mike Green's been jumping up the boards a long time, while James Pierce has sort of been falling. He used to be mocked didn't he used to be mocked top 5 start of the season?
Yeah, there's been some character concerns and also some production.
Yeah, he did have.
He's also an undersized edge rusher who doesn't exactly explode off the ball, so it's going to be tough for him to succeed. But he put up crazy numbers last year. That's why he was projected so high.
Yep. So with that in mind, Packers are going to make the right pick. They're going to take Mike Green down to Marshall to really help out their pass rush. Another NFC team on the clock, Minnesota. Another division rival of the Packers. Minnesota lost they lost Cam Bynum to free agency to the Colts this season. Then your safety room, I don't know if Lewis Seen's still in the league. Sine, wasn't he he was
No, they released him as well.
So no safeties there. Sine wasn't ever turned out to be the first round pick he was, I believe. So they're going to take Nick Emanwari. I don't know how to say that, but
close enough.
Close enough.
It's the thought that counts.
All right, you're on the clock now.
I want to go back to Emanwari pick. I really like that pick, especially with Harrison Smith getting older. They need to, look to the future at that position. And Emanwari is a freak athlete. He tested in the upper 9s on the RAS scale. So I think that's a good pick for Minnesota late. The Houston Texans, this has to be – all right, I really like the idea of Emeka Egbuka on the Texans. I think he's going to be a stud in the league, as I've mentioned in previous episodes. But this has to be O-line, surely. I mean – they've just gone out and destroyed C.J. Stroud's O-line. And the last thing you want to do to a young quarterback is to have them running for their life every play. With that being said, I'm going to take Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. I don't know if he played with Stroud from Stroud's alma mater. I can't see them going any other way. The Steelers are on the clock now. Now, this is interesting because I know more about the Steelers situation than any other team. And On paper, all right. First of all, Jackson Dart's still on the board. I can tell you right now, it's not going to be Jackson Dart. Um, the Steelers need D line badly. But from their pre-draft visits, it looks like they're considering wide receiver more than people think. And with that being said, I'm going to give them Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State. I think when you look at the Steelers, you have George Pickens and DK Metcalf on the outside, right? They just trade for DK Metcalf. But in the inside, Calvin Austin is coming up on the last year of his deal. Is he really reliable? I mean, he had some good games down the stretch, but can he continue that? I think they've given up on Roman Wilson. It's kind of rough to say for a guy who's going into his second year, but he was a healthy scratch down the line.
He actually.
So, yeah, they don't have too much faith in him. And I think when you look at the Pickens situation, he's had some drama. This Egbuka pick gives them the flexibility to move him later on if it doesn't work out, which I think, hopefully not, but I think what's ultimately going to happen. But even if he stays, and the Steelers say the Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers, which I believe they will, you're looking at a rookie quarterback situation next year where they're throwing to DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Emeka Egbuka, Pat Freiermuth. You're behind a nice developing young O-line, and, Jalen Moore's not a bad running back, but they might draft someone. It doesn't get much better than that for a young rookie quarterback. So I've talked myself into it. We're going Emeka Egbuka here at 26. I think he's the safest pick in the wide receiver late in the first range. A little bit of yap session there for the Steelers.
It's expected.
I mean, come on. It doesn't get much better than this. The Ravens, I think they take James Pierce. They haven't they've been one of those teams like the Eagles who takes best player available, not really concerned about effort or, reports like that. They look at the player and they go, yeah, this is the guy. And I think it's pretty straightforward.
It's like the Eagles. All right. So, Kevin, I got a little bit of issue going on here. So my phone decided to go from 30 to the start of this mock draft to dead now. So,
okay.
Looks like you're going to take over the rest of this draft.
All right. Wait, I can screen. Why didn't we do this from the start?
Oh.
Okay, we've leveled up here a little bit. We figured out a screen share. We probably should have been doing this from the beginning.
Restart the episode.
Yeah, absolutely not. So who do you want here to the Lions?
I'm thinking corner or edge here. Let's see what we got working here.
Corner is a little interesting. I think Maxwell Hairston could slide into the first round after he tested really well, ran a 4.28.
Yeah, he ran really fast, and Lions have their skill players on offense, so I think go with him. A little bit of a risky pick, but it's the Lions. They like to reach it.
I also like this pick because his number one concern is not his skill. He was a very good player on the field. It's more of his off-the-field concerns, but I think those will get cleaned up. Those never amount into anything.
All right, I'm back on the clock here. Washington. I'm thinking Amari and Hampton here. Do you like what I'm going at there?
I kind of rock with it because, you got a guy, Austin Eckler's going to be out of the picture in a year or two.
Brian Robinson's not that good.
Brian Robinson's an interesting case. He's a goal line thumper, and I think Omari and Hampton gives you more of that three-down back that can, really thrive off the RPO game that Jaden Daniels plays. So I rock with it.
Yeah, let's go with that.
All right, I'm back up here with the Buffalo Bills. You look at interior line, you need someone to pair up with Ed Oliver over there, and I think Derek Harmon's a good pick out of Oregon. Not too much to say about that. I think if he's still there for the Bills, they'll definitely snatch him up. The Chiefs, now they lost Joe Tooney to trade, and I think Tyler Booker's the surefire pick here.
Yeah.
Once again, I don't think it should be up for debate. You lose Joe Tooney, you're getting the best guard in the draft in Tyler Booker to replace him. Not much to say other than that.
All right.
And last up, the Eagles. You're up.
Here we are, Eagles. Their favorite thing to do here is take the player that falls. So let's see. Let's look at this board here. They're not taking Jackson Dart. That's all.
I think it's easier for us because we have the rankings pulled up and we just take the top guy to not really have fallers. But it'll obviously be different.
Yeah, one of the top guys here who has been falling in the draft. Board's rankings for character concerns, Luther Burden out of Mizzou. I mean, they got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. They got Johnny Wilson over there, but he's more of like a tight end type of guy. I
They
feel
also
like
got Jahan Dotson.
Jahan Dotson didn't really do much this season.
Yeah, that's fair. I
This
don't know. I don't see how you can pass on Ruku or whatever his name is though,
yeah,
because
well, in free
they lost Josh Sweat, they lost Milton Williams.
yeah, and it's an Eagles move. Take one of the top players on the board. And they got the last pick, so they'll get some of the faller here. I like that pick there. Go ahead and pick him. You'll lose.
As Ruku?
Yeah, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that.
Yeah, I tried my best.
Milton
And
Josh Sweat leaving. Love that pick. There we go.
So this is our final draft. We'll go down in order once again. Just list off Cam Ward at 1, Abdul Carter 2, Travis Hunter 3, Will Campbell 4, Mason Graham 5, Ashton Genzi 6, Tyler Warren 7, Will Johnson 8, Tet McMillan 9, Armand Mambu 10, Mambu from Mizzou, Banks 11, Shamar Stewart 12, Jalen Walker 13 in a trade up, Jahad Campbell to the Colts at 14, Michael Williams 15, Malachi Stark 16 to Miami who traded back, Walter Nolan at 17, Colston Loveland at 18, Kenneth Grant at 19, Shedeur Sanders to the Browns. Keep in mind this is the Browns in a trade up to jump the Steelers. Jade Barron to the Rams who trade up with the Steelers. Matthew Golden at 22, Mike Green to 23, Eman Wari 24, Josh Simmons 25, Egbuka 26 to the Steelers in a trade down. 27, James Pierce, 28, Maxwell Harrison, 29, Omarion Hampton, 30, Derek Harmon, 31, Tyler Booker, and 32, Donovan Ezeruaku.
Good job. Hey, you're good at pronouncing.
Try my best.
We are back to this. That is going to conclude our episode for today. Just a mock draft there. We're getting real close to the NFL draft. Going to be a lot of buzz coming out in these next few days. Tomorrow is the Pat McAfee show in Pittsburgh. So are you hopeful that Aaron Rodgers will sign there?
Yeah, I think it is going to happen. I'm pretty confident, but it's also Aaron Rodgers, so expect the unexpected.
Aaron Rodgers move to do it on the Pat McAfee show. His little favorite show there. Yeah,
which means he won't.
Definitely means he won't. But little announcement here. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm going to be headed up to the NFL draft on the day of it. I'll be staying through the first 12 picks because that ends at it ends really late. And the booking for an Airbnb in Green Bay. Can you guess the price? For one room, just one room, one bed, one night
per night,
bed. And it's just a room in someone's house, not like a whole house.
Like
$3,000.
Okay. Oh my.
Yeah, so I'll be headed up there early in the day. Stay to the Saints pick, but I'll provide some coverage there. I'll shoot some videos. There's going to be NFL players there. Maybe we can get them to shout out the podcast there. But you got anything else?
Yeah. So, like he said, he's headed to the draft. Make sure to follow along on the socials for some pre-draft content. We'll be interviewing He'll be interviewing some passionate fans, asking them who they think their team's going to pick. Maybe try and see some players. Not really sure on how the draft works, so we'll see if that's possible.
I know what the draft's like at the start. So. Yeah, I read all about the events. There's just a ton of NFL players there.
Oh, there you go.
MMG is definitely going to be there. I'll try and get him on the podcast. But
dude, there's a house for sale across the street from Lambeau for $490K. You could pay the mortgage off with one Airbnb.
Yeah, there's a ton of houses across from Lambeau. But like I was saying, ton of fans there. Just a bunch of events. I'll film a 40-yard dash maybe for you guys, depending on my time there, because I know they got that there. But also they got the Lombardi Trophy on display there, definitely in a case. Don't want that to get stolen by a drunk Packers fan. But got anything else?
No,
all right, thank you guys for watching our little yap session. We should have known to put the mock draft on the screen, but we just figured that out. It's all good.
Figured it out. That's definitely going to help us for when we, a little Easter egg down the line. We're going to try and do some games like some Jeopardy and maybe NFL GeoGuessr. You'll see. It'll be interesting.
We're gonna have one more mock draft before the draft. We're gonna do that the episode right before the draft that Wednesday, because also we're going with a new little upload schedule. On Wednesdays it's gonna be me and Kevin, and then I'm gonna try this out on Fridays, just me yapping about a topic. So we'll see how that. He doesn't like that one. Got to bring out 2 episodes a week. One a week, it does the job. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Make sure